2025, are you ready to rock? Dave's Killer Bread is ready to rock 2025 and your reset this January with killer taste, killer nutrition, and a killer sweepstakes to win a VIP concert prize pack with round-trip airfare, luxury hotel stay, and much more. Text RESET to 73876 and enter for a chance to win. Dave's Killer Bread. Bread amplified. No purchase necessary. Visit daveskillerbread.com/reset for details.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I love chick flicks, and I often get really emotional and teary-eyed when I'm seeing or watching something that's really, really heartwarming. So be forewarned. Now, have you seen The Wizard of Paws? Now, if you haven't, you really need to. And in every episode, I'm literally getting teary-eyed and crying because it truly is a show for every animal lover. In today's episode, Derrick Campana, he joins me. He's the founder of Bionic Pets, and he's the wizard in The Wizard of Paws. Do you know what the real definition of wizard is? A wizard is a man believed to have magical powers, and he uses those powers to help others. Derrick is a real modern-day wizard. His company, Bionic Pets, combined with his magic, has helped animals of all makes and all over the world. He gives animals the freedom to walk again, making individualized prosthetics and other devices to give these sentient beings the power to walk, run, and everything in between. He truly is a magician giving happiness to all the pet owners and all the animals he's helping all over the world. Now think about this. You're a horse, but your front hoofs are deformed and you can really barely hardly move forward. Now imagine this special wizard steps in and gives you customized hoofs so you can have the ability to run just like all the other horses can do. Or your dog has to have surgery and part of his leg has to be amputated. Then Derrick comes into your life and he gives you a new bionic leg and you can be your old self again. What Derrick does and the stories he has to tell, they're just so heartwarming, they literally give you tears of joy. And because of this, he truly is a modern day wizard. So have your tissues ready, for this really is a heartwarming episode.
For real, 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 for real. Got a bunch of furry friends and I love them all the same. I'm an animal lover, veterinarian is the name. Let's share some pet stories from heartwarming to strange, losses and gains, from wacky to insane. For real. You're now tuned in to For Real with your host, Mark Kyle.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the For Real podcast. Today, I have a special guest, a really, really special guest for me. His name is Derrick Campana. He's actually the owner of Bionic Pets, but you may know him from Wizard of Paws. Derrick, thanks so much for taking the time today. I know you've got a busy schedule, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.
So what I thought we would do is I want to get into your background. I obviously I've seen the bio out there, but how you got to where you are today, why prosthetics was a thing. I know you did, you were studying kinesiology and everything else. How did you grow up wanting to do things like that, or how does that work?
People ask me that question a lot. I mean, for one, there was no such thing as animal prosthetics when I started.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have really wanted to go into it, but I went to human medical school for orthotics and prosthetics for people. I was in practice doing that at a company here in Northern Virginia. And one day a veterinarian brought her black Labrador retriever named Charles. who had a congenital deformity needing a prosthesis. I know everybody in the office kind of looked at this person funny, like, why do you want to get a prosthesis for your dog?
Right.
My boss was supposed to see that patient that day, but he ended up quitting that day, and the dog and the owner were in the waiting room for like 2 or 3 hours. And eventually I said, I don't think he's coming in, so I'll try to help you. I've never worked on an animal before. I ended up building the prosthesis, fitting it. I got so much joy out of watching this dog, Charles, walk on all fours for the first time. The owner broke down. That I just thought it was so cool. I started Googling, realized no one in the world was doing this. And I think 2 or 3 weeks later, I started a animal business with prosthetics.
You know, I've watched Wizard of Paws. We mentioned that, and we'll get to that in a second. But when you see that, literally, I'm one of those chick flick kind of guys anyway. So, but literally, when I would see this stuff, I get teary-eyed because it's just so cool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it never gets old. That's why I keep doing it. I'll keep doing it forever.
You know, and you kind of go down a path you never where it's going to take you, and next thing you know, you're taking care of animals all over the world too, which is even crazier in some ways. So, anyways, you started doing that, and then let's walk through the steps and get to now that you're a TV star and an animal healer and everything else. Let's just go from there.
Yeah, so I went, I did that first dog, and luckily the owner of that dog owned a vet practice. She was a holistic vet. So she started sending me a patient here or there. You know, at first I didn't know really what I was doing because there was no manual to look at, no book you could kind of study. And even though I went to school for human prosthetics, there is quite a big difference between humans and animals and what we do for prosthetics. I've learned that over the years. But I started seeing a patient here or there. And then once my waiting room in the human office had more animals than people, the boss said, you should probably just do this full time. So I made that big leap of faith and went full time into animals. And that was about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And yeah, I never looked back. I've been seeing thousands and thousands of animals. A few years ago, well, people always ask me how I got into the TV show.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I hear so many people like, oh, I had a production company call me and I think I'm going to get a TV show. That's not really how it works. I had like 600, 700 production companies get a hold of me before we got a TV show going. It's really tough to get into. But one day the Dodo, which is the biggest animal following in the world, contacted me. And I was waiting for a long time for them to contact me. And they're like, oh, we want to try to pitch a TV show, a reality show with you. And they pitched it out to a bunch of networks. BYU TV picked it up originally, and then Disney and Nat Geo Wild. And we're just finishing season 7 right now. So it's been a whirlwind, but the best whirlwind ever.
So I've got lots of questions about that because I've watched several episodes. I'm the new big fan. But how did they pick the animals? Because, there's tons of animals out there that are missing a limb. So how do they do that? Is it because and I want to get into a couple of episodes that I saw because they're just so heartwarming. But are you part of that choosing process, or how does that work?
Not really. It's super involved. There's probably a team of like 40, 50 people doing the TV show and doing the casting calls. So we send out these casting calls. They get kind of pre-interviewed for lots of different reasons, not only the animal, their story, what the overall transformation of the animal was going to be, lots of different factors. But people come to my office all the time like, oh, can I get on your show? And I'm like, it's not about me. I'm not the person choosing at all. So it's a big drawn out process on who gets picked. But the network's been doing a great job picking, so I can't complain.
I want to get into the science of what you're doing, but since we're on the show, I have so many questions. I'm sorry. So the first one you did was with Lightning, that dwarf pony. I want one, by the way. That I literally was crying at the end because it was so cool.
Oh yeah, it was funny because they sent me the initial cut, the initial edit of that first episode, and obviously it's the first episode, so I'm in my office watching it, hoping it's a good show. When you sign up for a reality show, you're like, yeah, this is gonna be good, it's gonna be bad. You don't know how it's gonna get edited and everything.
It's gonna be goofy. Yeah, totally.
I'm crying so bad, just bawling at my computer. My employees are coming in like, what's wrong? I'm like, the video's so good. I knew
it's so good.
I knew right there was going to be a hit show because of how awesome that was. But yeah, no, lightning was an amazing, almost accident. We weren't even supposed to go filming the day that he took off, but the network showed up on our down day, and we're like, oh, we should just get the cameras up and take a few more videos. And lightning just took off that day.
Oh, that's
It was so
awesome.
awesome to see. I was crying too. It was insane.
Well, the way they start that thing where he's on the couch like a dog,
Yeah.
I want one so bad.
Oh yeah.
And he's such a personality to begin with. It was so cool.
Yeah, you come to a lot of situations where you got these crazy animals inside people's houses.
Like I said, I am the new fan, and I'm watching more and more episodes that you do see that. You know what? One of the things, I know you were in Bhutan for that group up there.
Yeah.
Did you know that Bhutan is the first country in the world that's 100% spay and neutered with all the street dogs?
Yeah, and I think their currency is happiness.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it's like you look it up, and it's such a strange place. Not anyone can just go there. You have to have
Right.
very strict visas. It wasn't even a country I heard of, but it was an amazing country. I think it was the top 3 most dangerous flight landings ever, and because I think it was like in the Himalayas. But amazing place, and we got to help a lot of animals out there.
Yeah. Well, whatever happened to the what was it, Jake, or the name of that black dog?
Jack.
Is he running around now, or did he take to it?
Everybody asked me, and I don't have the best news. One of our crew members were going to adopt Jack, but COVID happened right as we were leaving, and we weren't able to get Jack over here. And I think he has since passed, unfortunately. But he was running, moving, grooving, doing everything with his prosthesis for a bunch of years. So he had a great life.
By the way, the episode with the one, I obviously I'm a fan. So the episode where the family that had the business that failed in Florida and went back to Pennsylvania with the daughter, and the dog's name was Toto.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
That's a good
God.
one, right? The whole Wizard of Paws theme with Toto. I don't know if you caught that. I should have made.
Oh, I didn't, but I get it now.
Should have made some ruby red slippers for that dog, but hey, I got to match the prosthetics with her braces, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I mean every story is so uplifting, and with the filming, I'm only seeing maybe a tenth of the filming. So when these episodes come out, I get to see all the behind the scenes.
Oh, really?
Stuff that was shot with the family, with the dog, everything, and I'm shocked half the time. Like, whoa, I didn't know about this or that, and it's really, really cool to see it all come together.
Well, just for everybody that's listening, and like I've said now numerous times, I am a huge fan. If you want to really feel heartwarmingness, I guess is the word. If you want to watch it, I mean, it is just this amazing transformation that if you don't like it, then you shouldn't be talking to me or listening to the show is what it is, because it's just this amazing, amazing thing. And what a great job you have to be a part of that even. I just think it's so cool.
It's amazing. It's so fun.
So let's get back to prosthetics, and animals, because obviously a lot of the people listen to the podcast are all big animal people, and they may have this. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, when they were going to reach out to you, so I'll ask you a question when we're done. But so when these animals, one is, I still am trying to understand, get my I guess my brain around. I know you do the negative, and then you make the thing, and when you're using that rasp to make it smaller, is that just so all the other stuff that goes around it, the mechanics, is that what that's for? I just have a hard time.
That's probably the biggest thing you go to school for, is being able to sculpt out these molds, and that's probably the hardest part of the job.
Right.
Pressure sensitive versus pressure tolerant areas. Adding plaster to the bony spots, taking down plaster where there's pressure tolerant areas. That's the science behind it. That's the art behind it. That's kind of everything. And what makes animal prosthetics so hard in general is most of the time you never are meeting the animal, because we're covering the world out of one location. So we're shipping out casting kits. So someone that's never taken a cast will take this cast and ship it to me, and I got to turn this, a lot of times, awful cast into gold. So that's one of the huge challenges out there. But no, there's a lot of reasons for the sculpture to make it comfortable, to offload the leg in proper spots so a dog can wear it for extended periods of time, be active, be mobile, be happy, be healthy. All those things you have to think about when you're sculpting this mold. So that positive mold is of the utmost importance.
So yeah, because one of the things when I was reading about prosthetics, obviously not knowing that as much about it as I should, but the biggest issue you have with those is really getting sores and stuff like that.
It can be. I mean, there's lots of different things. I try to put people in their own minds if they're getting a device or a prosthesis. What would the animal do? How would they react? If I were going to come up to you, blindfold you, plug your ears, put something on you, first it's you got to they go through denial to acceptance or rejection through to acceptance, just like a person would.
Right.
So you have to kind of go through that mindset of an animal, how they would react and realize what they would do. But yeah, everything that would happen to a person would happen to an animal, and everything that would happen to a human with a prosthesis happens to animals. And so you got to be positive and go through all those emotions and things that an animal would do to get them to use a prosthesis effectively.
So again, I was reading this stuff. So the terms I'm saying is I've read them and I don't really understand them really well. So they have the difference in prosthesis. There's ecto and then there's endo. Ecto is what you normally do. Are you doing any endo? Endo being they put something into the bone?
No, those are osteo integrations. There's not many people that do those. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm
Right.
orthotist, prosthetist. I went to school for that. I would be the one that could build adaptations that can go onto those osteo integrated prostheses. But yeah, we don't do those types of surgical procedures here. We just do the endo or the exotypes.
Well, I was just wondering if you worked with a vet that actually did something to put, the way in my mind, it's like a rod in a bone and then you attach your thing to it or something.
Yeah, there's just a lot of possibility for infection and breakdown, and that's why it's not widely used in humans or animals.
Right.
But I work with a lot of the head honcho vets out there, and I know almost all the ones that do these procedures. But again, there's not that many that do it, and there's not that many of the procedures that have been successful thus far.
Well, one of the things I want to do it, and this is a pat on the back for you, because I think you even quoted it. There was a study by CSU about using prosthetics with animals. And basically, it's the way I read it, it's about 95% of the people that have had it done really are really happy about doing that, having that done for their animal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing is people first it's just awareness of the entire field, which I'm super happy about Wizard of Paws, because it's really, I've been doing this over 20 years. And, even today, or not today, but even a few years ago, vets would come up to me and, oh, there's prosthetics for animals. But since the Wizard of Paws has come out a few years ago, it seems like everybody realizes that this is a viable option for their pet. And once people go down that path, they're really happy with the results. And I'm just happy to be a part of that pioneering process of this industry.
You're one of the main pioneers, actually.
Oh yeah. I know. I did. I had my kids say, "Hey Siri, who invented animal prosthetics?"
Oh, that's funny.
A couple of months ago, and it said me. I was like super happy, and they were super happy. So
that's cool.
Keep that going.
That's cool. That's really cool.
For real, 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 for real.
And we'll be right back. We are supported by PrepVet, providing stem cell therapy for pets.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover Prep Therapy today at prepvet.com. Save 10% with promo code FurRealPodcast, covered by most pet insurance.
One of the things I read too, when they talk about the three-legged animals, they call them PAWD.
Oh, yeah.
Tripod.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny too.
And when they get their prosthesis, they can give you a podograph, right?
Oh, wow. I'll bet you've got all of them. That's pretty funny.
Too many.
So, but let's go back a little bit. So if I've got an animal, because for people listening to maybe even have one, or I have a friend that has one, I know because, in the multiple episodes I've watched, sometimes you have to put the body
jacket, yeah.
And they can't do it. But if for the potential of having one that's just on the limb, how much do you have to have left of the limb typically? Because I know I think one of the episodes, your big concern is it staying on, right? Being sucked off or something like that.
That's a great question. People don't realize, with human prosthetics, you basically sky's the limit with technology. There's insurance, so you can charge $60, $80, $100,000. But with animals, no one's going to pay $80, $100,000 for a leg. Who knows? Some people may,
Right.
and I'm not judging that. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
But there's fur on animals, so we can't use these gel locking suspension liners, things like that are out there. So for like a front limb, you need at least 2 inches below the elbow. For the back limb, you need to the level of the ankle or lower. So you still need a bunch of the leg available to make a partial limb prosthesis. Otherwise, there are other options we can do. But it's a good question and something I get asked every day. Like, oh, this dog has this much of the leg left. Can't you do that? And unfortunately, the technology's not quite there to go up higher on the leg with these amputations and have them be safe and functional. But I'm definitely working on that every day.
Oh, I'm sure. You're like a mad scientist.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, when you watch the episodes, every time I see you kind of, well, at least the camera's showing you thinking
Oh, yeah,
that, okay, now how am I going to do this one to make sure this one works? So each one's unique.
for sure.
And that's kind of cool. So again, back on the front paw you have to have below the elbow, not above the elbow, for sure.
Correct. Yeah, you need what's called an anatomical suspension point. So, bones that are wider, lower than they are up higher. So places where, this prosthesis won't slip off. So front leg, the elbow is a great spot, and the ankle's a great spot, and the back leg to keep these prosthetics on.
Well, what I thought was interesting in the different articles I read is how the way they use the front weight and the rear weight on dogs. And even I was reading something about lions because of all the traps and stuff like that too,
Sure.
that they have different functionality. So I guess based on that is your design has to be for that front load, because if the back load, again, you're going to know this better than me, so correct me because I know I'm wrong probably, but the rear legs of dogs is really where they get their speed, and the front legs are for balance. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I mean, and again, multiple breeds. Like that's why
Right.
animals are so fun. People I just got bored with, just joking. But
No, I'm bored with them. Trust me.
we all have legs that kind of look the same. Our bodies kind of look the same. We all walk the same. Animals, I don't know what's going to come across my desk. Is it going to be a bird? Is it going to be an elephant? Is it going to be a tortoise? And so, you ask this question, but every breed, every species is going to have a different answer. And that's what keeps my job super interesting. And yeah, you might say for a dog, that's correct. But for, a horse, that's not correct at all. And so you got to kind of keep on your toes constantly and figure out breed specific, species specific, what you're going to build.
But one of the things that I really liked, there was an episode, it may have been, I can't remember if that Bhutan or not, the horse that was missing the front part of his hoof or whatever that he had to do. But more importantly, aside from walking, his body was breaking down. Can we get in for any animal that's got a 3-legged or 3-pawed thing,
Yeah.
how that affects them? It's not only just for them to walk, but it's also quality of life and pain and breaking down everything else too. So can you get into that a little bit?
For sure. I mean, every day people say, oh, these tripods do great on 3 legs. And I think to myself, well, you don't see them as they age and break down. They lose at least 2 years of their life not walking on a 4th leg. And so, you're correct by saying that, this is preventative maintenance, not only for the affected limb, but for the rest of the body. The rest of the body just breaks down so quickly. You get arthritic conditions, so many different conditions. Imagine just walking or hopping on one leg for just 5 minutes, how tired your body would be. And these animals do it, all day, every day, what effect that'll have on the body. So yeah, I get so sick and tired of people saying like, oh, these tripods are fine. They're really not.
Of course.
It takes a huge toll. And yeah, like I said, a prosthesis can easily add at least 2 years to an animal's life. So super important to get these devices on them.
Well, like, again, back to the horse one, because it was his front leg that had the hoof, I guess it was right below the hock or something like that was missing. But was crazy is his rear hips were going completely crushing down
Oh yeah.
because all his weight was buried on there and trying to do that because it was the three versus four.
Oh yeah, and the spine gets all twisted.
Oh.
Internal organs start to get squished. There's so many things that you wouldn't ever think of, and it happens to animals just like it happens to us.
That was another one I was crying at the end.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, it's so good and so bad at the same time.
I found myself crying on that one for sure too.
Oh, you just get, and it's funny. I've told so many people once I started watching it that I said at the end, I start crying. I said, but it's tears of joy.
Exactly.
I'm not upset. I'm just going, oh my
No, it's
God.
it's not sad tears. It's happy tears.
It's so great. One thing I wanted to also get into, because if you watch the show, and I know the show is, it's not meant to be deceptive, but you see the results at the end.
Mhm.
And for people that have a tripod a pod again, how fast do they, I mean, I'm sure it varies across the board. And I have an experience for myself personally that I'll talk to in a second, but how fast do they actually start understanding that they actually have another limb?
Yeah, I mean that's a blessing and a curse of the show, really.
Right, I know.
Because we've been very lucky on the show, and this is not a normal thing where you fit a device to an animal and they start walking, but it seems to happen so often on the show. And a lot of times I want them to reject it just so it's
Right.
more of a normal thing, because acceptance is all over the board. Some animals get used to it immediately. Some animals never get used to it, and everywhere in between. And so it's like I want to show more of that stuff on the show. And I tell that to my producers, and they're like, well, just do a worse job. And I'm like, I can't. I'm doing my best job with every animal. And it just so happens that almost every single animal takes to these pretty much immediately. That's not an act. We're not sitting there for a month with the animal, with our film crew, trying to capture this moment. That's actually the initial fit for this animal, and they're doing that type of job. So you'll see a little bit of a variance between these animals on the show, but in reality, you never know how an animal is going to react. The longer I do this, the more I kind of realize I do not know what's going to happen. And it's always kind of a shock, but animals surprise me every day. And so you got to give them that chance. You got to try for them, and they will give you that surprise and surprise you. But you give them that chance for mobility, and it either works or it doesn't. And it's so cool to see kind of that eye, their eyes and their tail wagging, that little moment of hope. And when they realize like, oh, this is what it's like to walk on all fours, and they just take off. So it's that really addictive feeling. And that's why I love having the show kind of showcase what we're doing with all these animals.
You don't want me on that show because I'll be crying all the time.
Yeah, right.
But one of the things I've thought, and by the way, I always think about, I love the term magic because I believe in magic. Yeah. And I really do think you're adding some magic to the whole thing. There's some magic to it. Maybe that's why it is. Yeah. One of the things I thought about though, like I mentioned before we got on, is that I played a lot of sports, and I've had 8 knee surgeries. Yeah. So I had one that I was in a cast for 16 weeks and then in a brace for, I don't know, a period of time. But I'll never forget when they took that brace off, and I've been walking straight legged forever, so I could walk. Yeah. But as soon as they took that brace off, I could not walk at all. Oh, yeah. I had to train myself. And I thought, well, the animals don't really think the way I think. Maybe that's why they're walking faster, because it took me a day to kind of realize I could walk.
Yeah, I mean and again, all animals go through the same things, but that's why I love working with animals. Is there's a much more truer reaction to the device. Either it's comfortable and it works, or something's wrong and it doesn't work. There's no societal factors. There's no mental factors. Right. The person, just like you said, you're thinking about your leg and, oh, does it hurt? What's going on? Like, walk on this, or oh, what is this person going to think about this prosthesis or this device? That's not how it works with animals. It's like, if it fits and it feels okay, they're going to go and they're not going to think about it at all. And I love that kind of trueness and that reality with animals, and how kind of effective and great it is to put a device on them compared to people. Not saying anything negative against people, but
I will.
I just love that one big factor about animals.
Well, I'm basically because we mind not saying the word I want to say. We mind to do ourselves, and that's what I did. I can't walk, and I'm thinking, and I've been walking for like 8 of the 16 weeks I've been in that cast.
Yeah, we're guarded. It's like children versus adults. Children will run
Right.
themselves until they're ragged, until they can't move another inch because they're not thinking about what's going to happen when they start running. People were like, "Oh, I don't want to run. I'm going to be tired." So it's the same with the animals.
Well, I'm not a child or an adult. I'm more of a big baby is what I am at the end of the day. So, but I want to let's talk. I know how many animals. I know your website's up, but it's got to be more now. How many animals have you now done this for, roughly?
I think it's around 40,000 or so.
Jesus,
I'm guessing at this point. But yeah, I mean,
that's incredible.
every month we're doing a couple hundred, and that's on top of the TV show. So I flew to Australia for a few weeks. I come back to a huge pile of these legs that I got to build, and then I'm going to India next week. And it's a like I said, a roller coaster, but it's the best roller coaster ever. It's super fun. It never gets tiring, and it's always just a blessing.
Well, especially some of the exotics, and I want to get into that. Is that just it would be so cool, like when we're talking about stem cells. I almost had an opportunity to treat a lion at the Cincinnati Zoo, and it just didn't work out. Their board decided they were worried about treating it with whatever, which was kind of crazy. But I was just excited just to be part of it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, just to see it and do that. But let's talk about. I know you've done a bunch of exotics. Just for the people that are listening that may have not have seen the show, that probably are now going to be your big fan like me. Can you talk about some of them and maybe some of the stories behind that just a little bit? I know you're busy, but whatever we can do.
It's almost easier to say which animals I haven't done at this point, but I did. Let's see, a parrot. Oh wait, it was a macaw. I built a cart for a macaw. The other day, I did a guinea pig. I've done all these elephants. Avian prosthetics have been kind of the more new thing I've been doing, which have been really cool. I'm going to India to see a sloth bear. I never knew sloth bears existed. I never heard of it. But also, I mean, every day I get called for something new and fun. I did a tortoise cart. You name it, I've done it at this point, but I have not done many of the underwater animals, and that's something I'd love to get into. I've been called to do these whales and dolphins, but there's a lot of government regulations and things that prevent it from happening, but hopefully in the near future.
I've got some contacts in the dolphin world that we can talk about too. I'm trying to remember, I may have seen it on social media. There was a tortoise, I think, that they made like a fin for it or something, or flap or something like that. So
and there's one up at the National Zoo in Baltimore that needs one, and I'd love to do. But yeah, I've seen, I see all these, or people send me these emails because they know what I do, and I definitely saw that one, that tortoise sea turtle wearing a prosthesis is super cool. I wish it was me.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm sure eventually the way you're going, you will. I saw the duck one too, where you gave him a new foot.
Oh yeah, super fun. These avian prosthetics, super hard. A lot of times we got to do 3D printing with that, different technologies, but still is fulfilling and still super cool.
That's way cool. So on the elephants, just tell me the story of the first time you did an elephant, because I've been to Africa and I've spent a lot of time all around them myself, but going up to an elephant to put a foot on or whatever you did, can you just tell the story? I'm trying to imagine what the elephant's looking at you, because they're a little bit bigger than you.
Oh yeah, the first time. So I had a show before the Wizard of Paws called Dodo Heroes on Animal Planet, and we flew to Botswana, South Africa, to fit this huge bull elephant named Jabu, who fell down into like a termite hole and twisted his ankle really bad. And I built this brace for him. He was great because he would just do anything on command. But then if you get into season 4 of Wizard of Paws and I'm in Thailand, I'm helping like 4 or 5 elephants, and they have not been trained, and you have to definitely earn their trust.
Yeah.
I walk up to this elephant. I didn't realize that they can kick so far to the side. So, I'm walking up to him like a horse or a donkey, thinking that they can't kick sideways. And these guys want to kill me and they're kicking sideways trying to get me. And I didn't realize that these ones are definitely different from the African elephants, and you got to definitely spend time feeding them, earning their trust. So you never know what you're going to walk into, and sometimes my job can be quite dangerous.
When you're putting the mold on, that yellow thing that's on the thing, is that just so you can cut that thing off? Is that what that thing is?
Yeah, most only people under 10 years of age know that, so good job. You said you were a big baby, so now I believe you. When I used to do pediatrics and people, that's it's a cut strip. You wrap their leg. I would ask every single person, and every adult had no idea, and every kid did. So good job.
Oh, good. Well, I do something right every now and then. It's not very often. Any other real fun story? Again, I know you're busy. Any really kind of cool story? And then I want to get in for people that may have an animal, how they get a hold of you and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. People always ask me what's the hardest or craziest animals, and they always say, "Oh, it's got to be the elephants." But honestly, it was on one of the episodes I did a camel named Mo, and he's one of the first camels I worked with. They can be nasty. They can be aggressive. This camel wanted to kill me. And the episode doesn't really show how close to death I was. But it took 2 days just to get the mold. It took almost 2 days just to fit the devices because this guy was not having it. So I definitely, to this day, say camels are by far the hardest animals. And this camel named Mo had it in for me and almost took me.
So Mo was like a mofo.
Yes, for sure.
Exactly.
Good way to put it. Yeah.
So one thing before we get into your stuff, I at the end of every show, I always do a silly animal joke, and I've got one for you. And if you don't know it, I'll be shocked. I can tell by your humor.
All right.
So, and the reason why I do it is that one is that it's just everybody likes it, but also for people that are listening, I sometimes their kids come in and tell the joke. So here's my joke for you.
All right.
Tell me what he said. Why did the three-legged dog walk into the bar, and what was he asking for?
Oh, I mean, I have lots of names of dogs, like Eileen. That would work.
I know that one.
But I don't know this one. So what's the answer?
I'm looking for the man that shot my paw.
I like it. I've not heard that, and I've heard almost every.
Oh, there you go. Good. We got one for you. And by the way, for everybody that's listening, please, if you've got, I know these jokes are bad, although maybe he liked this one, but if you've got your kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews who want to do this, you email me at mkyleforrealpodcast.com and I'll put you on the show. I'm always looking for somebody else to tell a silly animal joke, and really, please do.
Yeah, mine's what do you call a three-legged dog? Eileen.
Eileen. I know Eileen well. I'm trying to there's a peg one too. I can't remember what that one is. What do you call a guy with no legs in the water?
Bob.
Bob. Oh, yeah, you got it. And then what was the other? Oh, Matt was the other one.
If you keep telling these jokes, you're going to have to charge him an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yep. Anyways, so for everybody that's out there, can you just, if they've got a dog, tell them how they get a hold of you, what they should be looking for, what to do, and all that? Because I certainly want to, for the people that've got something out there, now they know a little bit more about this. Can we kind of go into that part?
At first, if you think there's a problem with your dog, talk to your vet. Make sure you get the treatment that you need. But then any information on braces, prosthetics. Rose, you got my dog barking right now.
That's not Henry? That's another one?
Not Henry, that's another one. She's going to be the star in season 7. So, yeah.
Oh, cool.
You're hearing her. But, my info is Derrick, Derrick, at bionicpets.org. We have a YouTube channel, Bionic Pets, and all our socials are at Bionic Pets. Send us a message there, and we'll get right back to you.
And for everybody that's listening, in the description, all that information is on there too. First of all, Derrick, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And I think you're doing great stuff, and I'm looking forward to keep going crying every time I watch your show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. And for everybody else that's out there listening, please keep listening. Spread the word out. I love having episodes like this. If you've know somebody that's got something like this that maybe be able to help them, this is a great thing to get to them. But keep following, listening, and most importantly, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for listening for real.
That concludes this episode of For Real with your host, Mark Kyle. For previous and future episodes of For Real, listen via all major podcast streaming sites.